How's your relationship with time? Are you wired and tired, stressed and overwhelmed, busy and going nowhere? Or just want to scale your business? Welcome to Take Back Time with your host, Penny Zenker. Penny focuses on books, strategies, tools, and tips to help you work smarter and approach your time more strategically. As a result, you can have more energy, focus, and get more done in less time. Be more efficient and effective. Get ready to take back time.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker, and I'm your host. Now, this is a special episode. This is an episode that I want to dedicate to Berny Dohrmann. Berny Dohrmann has been a great mentor of mine for the past 5 years and has really seen far beyond. I consider myself to be a visionary person and to see big ideas and how they could develop. But Berny had the ability to see 100 times past what I was able to see. And he was able to not only have me see it, but have me believe in myself and feel special to understand that I had what it took to make that happen if I chose to. And in doing so, one of his core philosophies was around collaboration. Competition was like a disease that pulls us apart from one another, and how we need to focus more on collaboration. And his form of collaboration made it networking and interacting with one another. It was rooted in spirituality. And that means that it takes our networking and our collaboration away from being just a transaction with one another to being something that's much more purposeful, that has a greater purpose than ourselves. And I wanted to share with you in this interview that I did with him a few years ago is because there are a number of golden nuggets in there. And I wanted you to hear directly from him, his perspective on why we shouldn't compete and why we should collaborate and how that's going to help you in your business to be more productive, to get further faster. That's the 10x effect. None of us get anywhere in our business alone. So how do you collaborate better with your team, better with partners, and really put emphasis on how partners can grow together, and also how you partner with your customers? And I believe that it's all around the value that we create for one another. And when we're value focused, we're going to 10x our business very quickly, especially when we combine that aspect of collaboration. So without further ado, I dedicate this show to Berny Dohrmann.
Hi, it's Penny Zenker, your host of Take Charge of Your Productivity. On this show, we explore your greatest potential by tapping into the 10 core elements of time and energy management. To simplify how these 10 critical elements are required for quantum growth and how they come together, I came up with a windmill as a metaphor for human productivity. The windmill has a gear mechanism that works from within. The smoother, the more consistent, and the faster the blades turn, obviously the more productive you tend to be. This week we're talking about winning strategies, which is blade number 2 of my windmill. Working smarter, not harder, is how you take your business to a whole new level. It's about becoming the owner of your business and getting out of your own way, getting out of that role as the operator. Because as an operator, you get lost in the day-to-day, and you're really not able to take a step back and take a look at the strategic direction and positioning of your business from this outside perspective, from this strategic perspective. In my Quantum Productivity program, this section reveals the best practices behind the 3 elements that make up winning strategies. That's planning, process, and priority. I'm going to be joined today by founder of CEO Space, Berny Dohrmann, to discuss his strategies for success. Today on our show, you're going to learn what makes a great business strategy and what might be holding you back, the impact of networking and mentoring that it can have on your business in building it quicker and smarter. And lastly, why staying current is key in developing your company's productivity. For the last 30 years, Berny Dohrmann, whom the media refers to as the millionaire maker, has been known as the coach of coaches. He's coached Anthony Robbins, Mark Victor Hansen, Jack Canfield, Lisa Nichols, Robert Allen, John Assaraf, Laurel Langmeyer, Jay Abraham, and many, many more big names that you can think of, including founding partners of elite consulting firms like Accenture and Booz Allen, and also companies the like of Starbucks, Nokia, 3M, and many more. He's now counseling the United Nations and many foreign nations with regard to turning around the global economic crisis via cooperative capitalism. He just finished helping the U.S. Senate with the language of the Jobs Act, also known as the crowdfunding bill. Berny Dohrmann is an internationally recognized capital strategist, revenue accelerator, and economic innovator. He's the founder and chairman of CEO Space International, the world's leading small business incubator, having touched over 300,000 business owners in more than 100 countries. Under Dohrmann's leadership, CEO Space has grown into a mega week-long intensive and trade show that services hundreds to thousands of small business owners at each conference 5 times a year. He utilizes proprietary networking and teaching techniques that accelerate attendees' ability to grow their business through capital raising strategy, business growth intensive, and demonstrating the power of collaboration. Bernie, I could go on and on and on with your accomplishments and your background, and I know the future things that you're going to be accomplishing. It is such an honor to have you here today. Welcome, welcome.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I can't wait to help just that one person, you who are listening, with a solution that makes your day and helps you today. That's my goal.
That's awesome. Well, I think there's going to be more than just one. It's going to be the collective you here. So first, I wanted to ask you, I understand that your father was a mentor to Disney, Napoleon Hill, JFK, and a whole host of other amazing, iconic leaders. What was it like growing up in a household where you sat down and had exposure to all these great innovators?
It was just like growing up in Leave It to Beaver. I was one of 9 children, and in this big covered, almost like a ballroom in a hotel, barbecue area with couches and lounge chairs and built-in bars. Dad would hold court, and the thought leaders of the century were there, all of them. Bucky Fuller, Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, Zig Ziglar. I was there when Zig Ziglar got hired. He was in his 20s, and I was there when all of them started. But you don't know as a little boy. You're coming in and on their lap, and they're mentoring you, but you don't even know you're being mentored by Uncle Zig or someone of that. They're just in your life. And so we were playing and yet being shaped to carry on this work. It was really kind of amazing looking back at it.
So tell us a little bit more about your background. So, because I know that you've also had some bumps in the road. What were some of the greatest challenges?
Well, when you bring that up, I have 2 careers. I was groomed by the Witter family, used to own Dean Witter before it was merged, to be an investment banker. And I had public investment companies from my 20s all the way up to when my father got ill with cancer and I sold my last public investment company. And it was large. It was thousands of stockbrokers in 14 countries, publicly traded, and I was chairman of an international brokerage firm. And I sold it to take care of my dad. And years later, I got indicted for $85,000 on a junk bond that we had sold years before for the risk they felt we should have known but didn't know at the time. But we're still held responsible for what we should have known. Yeah, when I sold the company, the bond was fully paid and performing and continued to be paid, and it defaulted later. But I was retroactively held responsible for that later default, even though the company was sold. I thought that was wrong. But the prosecutor was my best friend that I grew up with in private Catholic school, knew my dad, knew my family, and he prosecuted me before he retired. They're making a movie called Malicious Prosecution, which everybody can see the trailer at lsapublishing.com, and it's by Impello Films of Hollywood. And we just got the agreements for doing that movie through them, so we're pretty grateful. It's going to be, now that movie's got murder scenes and car chases, all sorts of things didn't happen in my life. My life was pretty boring, actually. But it was wonderful to be in that Wall Street group, and they still treat me as royalty. And I am grateful for my privilege of knowing that industry so well.
What's the gift that came out of that challenge for you?
Well, I think that when you can hold forgiveness for your greatest betrayal or injustice, you'll always find that God has a greater plan for your life than your plan ever was. So I would never have the best-selling books, the movies, the stature with nations. I have more public companies, heads of big companies today. All these years happened, more than 25 years ago. But I have current CEOs come to me and say, how do I bulletproof myself with the way they're enforcing today? You had such an unjust thing happen. How do I make sure it doesn't happen to me? Well, I wouldn't even know how to advise them if it hadn't happened to me.
Right.
So I help keep them bulletproof under all these new regulations that are in place today and growing, and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to do it. Their lawyers often don't know how to do it. And so I advise a lot of law firms. We're accredited education for law firms on how to make sure you never have a bad hair day. And we call it over-compliance. Don't comply, over-comply. It's easy. It's not hard, but it takes kind of a paperwork detail part of your business that you're always watchful on. And the smaller businesses, I don't think it matters, but for larger businesses, it is the holy grail.
Is that where your passion for education came from?
Well, no, my father had cancer, and he had a big educational company on performance training for the largest companies in the world. I grew up with the heads of these companies, and no one could run his international educational group but his oldest son when he was ill. So I did that with him until he passed, and then I ended up out of the investment business as a economist investment banker and ended in the training business, which I've done now going into my third decade, just helping small business owners to have the tools and the backing that really, I think, not having education provide them with the tool set, they do a lot of things right in just the wrong sequence. So we resequence them and they just take off. They just go into hyper growth and stay there. And I've found that entrepreneurs aren't born, they're made, and anyone can learn how to maximize job creation and self-employment if their desire is to be entrepreneurial.
It almost sounds like from that experience that you had where you sought out to help people to bulletproof their compliance and the education, it was kind of the marriage of the two that brought you to that point with CEO Space and the entrepreneurs and being able to provide that amazing skill set.
Well, I cheated, I think. I spent an ocean of my life with Dr. Dohrmann, who's the architect of total quality management for manufacturing process. My dad did Korea when Dr. Dohrmann did Japan, and they both did a lot of American companies and EU companies. And over their whole life, I was in those collaborations on performance in the workplace. And so as a theorist, I was able to watch them model ever-increasing performance and how to get teams to work better and smarter and have more fun in the process and turn out more for everyone. And that became the pride of what we have today as a lifestyle that the world is rising up to everywhere. And so we just took it to the next level and continued tweaking these wonderful tool sets. And because of my investment background, I always thought of all of that as shareholder value and how to create proper stakeholder values for all concerned and make the most ethical, integrative, exciting, vibrant, thriving workplaces. Model along Zappos and Google and Pinterest and Apple and the cool companies that are really treating their people with a different architecture but showing up with a performance no one can catch.
That's incredible. So it's almost like there were so many different pieces of the puzzle that just all came together.
Well, decades of experimentation and trial and error and seeing what does work and keeping that and then adding value to it.
You were around all these great leaders as mentors. How important is it for entrepreneurs to have mentors?
Use a phrase, mentors make millions and coaches do not. And I think all coaches should rise up to become mentors, and mentors make millions. So a coach that's making $70,000 to $150,000, which is about 95% of them, have limits on how they can bring an entrepreneur to an income higher than they themselves make. They don't make enough money, and they don't know how to, or they would, to guide the person that's paying them to the level they want in their life. So first of all, we have to shed and build businesses based on values. Businesses should not be based on money and greed and private acquisition. It should be the law of accumulation. It occurs because we're passionate about serving others, having our products and services reach the maximum number so everyone else is benefited from our game, our genius. when you put that perspective to what you're doing, everything else is just organizing principles to get there in the most efficient, effective, fast way. And so to ramp up into hypergrowth so others enjoy your game, your genius. That's the game. Now, when we make it efficient with system management, that takes, and you have to give yourself, say, gee, I'm stuck. I've been in business 3 to 15 years and I can't rise it up to the next level. Mm-hmm. Why not? And the reason is when you went to school, they're still teaching you house on the prairie education. They're teaching you to be memory bots in a factory or middle management at Kodak if you're an MBA. They teach you memory skills for repetition and endless mindless tasking. Right. And so you have this kind of memorize all state capitals, memorize the periodic table of elements, and so forth and so on. And it makes you crazy in today's world where God has invented search.
Right.
And so what we need to do is teach the entrepreneurial skill sets. I'll give you 2 sobering statistics. The largest school district in the United States, the LA Unified, and in Tampa Bay, the Pinellas County, second largest, 52 and 54% of the students in high school are not finishing high school.
Yeah.
Now, when they drop out, 82% in 120 days have started their own business.
Wow.
So they can't get jobs, and they're getting excited where they've learned to read, learn enough math, they can do it on the internet, and they figure out how to now train themselves to own a business, and they're not finishing school because they see nothing that adds value to the entrepreneur journey they want to take. So in the age of the entrepreneur, where more than half the jobs are self-employment, why aren't we teaching entrepreneur skills to a little girl where more than half the entrepreneurs are women who wants to own the restaurant, not work in it, can learn how to do that? We don't teach them. Yeah. And so I'm really pushing on education. Insert entrepreneur skills from K through 12 all the way up. And you'll see your learners will stay in school and you'll be teaching them what they really require to prosper and survive in the landscape of the entrepreneur age we live in.
Sure, and they'll see the relevance for their life. As you said, that some of the things that are being taught just aren't really relevant anymore.
No, I mean, it's obsolete. We've got a kind of monopolistic system that old publishers have put together to make sure their books come down the conveyor belt at billions of dollars a year, in which a consolidated group of less than 5 publishers own education. And we need to reform education. They need to be put out to pasture and made partners with the reinvention. And we need to get it all e-booked and put into currency. And so that our people learn things like, what does it mean to be American? We used to have a category called citizenship. And we had less crime, less violence, because we knew what it was to be a citizen with each other. Why do we stop teaching that and insert things like a bunch of memory details where I'm memorizing the Gettysburg Address? I just don't get it.
Which doesn't really add any value. Along that same line, but on the business side, for us grown-ups here, I know you've coined a phrase the cooperative capitalism. I just wanted to, before we went on break, to kind of talk about what is cooperative capitalism and what are you doing there?
Well, the President of the United States has read my book, Redemption, the Cooperation Revolution, and quoted from it several times and used it with negotiations in Syria, so we didn't bomb them, in Iran to make that deal, and to break out cooperation at state houses all over the world. And I want you to be clear, it's not communism, it's not socialism, because that's competitive bureaucracy. It's worse than competitive capitalism. But basically, competitive capitalism creates a system where 1% own more wealth than 99%. And that always melts down into world war. Now, if you study it and know that, why would you want to do that again? So if you could have a better model, what would it look like? And it's a model where everything in your financial system is public and reported and they're no secret. Everybody has ethics and integrity, and the regulations moderate greed. And you have free ownership and pride of ownership, and workers make enough money to have dignified lifestyles, which is important. And we're not using, in competitive capitalism, use a pyramid. And we use a management system that at the top of the pyramid is this idea of buy into this by your own experience, but you buy into a system that works on punishment and exploitation. So at the top is fear, at the bottom of the pyramid is punishment, and in the middle is the compression of exploitation of the worker.
Mm-hmm.
And what we want is a system that is built on full partnership. And that's a circle like a wagon wheel where hub management at Zappos pushes out on all the spokes and divisions for outer wheel momentum. And that's true for a dentist office or a family. So almost all breakdown that you're having is because of competition itself. The idea that competition is good and it's from God is actually the one great lie. Everything about competition should be looked at on the other side. Like when you die and you go to the other side, do you think there's gnashing of teeth and gnarling and snarling and lots of competitive stuff? Or do you think it's all unconditional love and cooperation? Now, do you want that on earth, or do you want what I consider, we create our own hell here by competing? No, it's stop competing with other spirits.
Right. So
we
is
have
this
to find a way to
existentialism?
No, it's actually just management systems. Managing humans in 2 or 3 people can only be done in a competitive system or a cooperative system. In a cooperative system, you have much more performance and production. And in a competitive system, you have much less. And so the issue gets to be, what do you want? Do you want a more cooperative or a more competitive system? And you can start making your adjustments by reading my book. I mean, read Redemption, the Cooperation Revolution. If you just want sweeter language in your home, if you want better retention of customers and more repeat buying and more referrals, then get everyone in your employee group to read Redemption, have meetings about it, and start to reform your workplace to cooperative system management. It's all in the book. It's in the book for fortune companies, and it's in the book for a chiropractor with 3 employees.
Fantastic. That is a great segue into our break, because when we come back, we're going to get more into talking specifically around productivity and the elements that you believe are key to increasing productivity. So for those who are listening, you better stay tuned, because we are going to talk more about productivity in the next segment. And we're talking to Berny Dohrmann, CEO, Space, founder, author, diplomat, you name it. Berny has been there and is involved in it. So you're going to want to stay tuned for the next segment.
Distractions are the enemy of productivity. Go to distractionquiz.com and find out your distraction profile. Are you a time zombie or a hamster? Take this free distraction quiz today to rate your ability to focus on what keeps you from being a wizard. Go to distractionquiz.com.
Welcome back to Take Charge of Your Productivity. I'm Coach Penny Zenker, and we're speaking with CEO Space founder, thought leader, author, Berny Dohrmann. And we're going to be talking about productivity and growing your business quicker and smarter. Welcome back, Berny.
Well, I'm glad to be back. Thank you so much for having us.
And so I just want to break it down, because I ask every guest this question is, how do you define productivity first and why? So start there before we can talk about optimizing it.
Well, I define productivity as an economic measurement as an investment banker economist. And so I look at productivity as the workspace output that can be measured by the individual and the collective and team, consistent over time against baselines, and look at improvements in that performance and productivity. And I also look at it as an equation that includes what I call the happiness factor. Because in the happy workspace, you see at Zappos, at Pinterest, at Apple, and how you're treated as a customer is off the chart.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. So if I were to consolidate that, what I heard you say is basically that productivity is also measured by the value that's delivered to you in the organization and also to your customers. Is that?
I think it can be summed up today in the markets that we're facing. Never before has a leader or entrepreneur faced what we're facing today. We are facing now the markets of super change. The markets of super change.
Super change. So what do you mean by that?
And in the circumstances of your market, 3 months ago, before this show aired, we had the government of the United States closed down for the longest period of time in record.
Right.
We didn't know if we were going to have a budget for the American people and whether we'd have another crash or stock market crash. Now we have a 2-year budget. Why? Because cooperation is broken out all over.
So what do you think is the biggest challenge for CEOs and leaders in their organization to stay current and to be able to maximize productivity in this way?
They've got to have a system. At CEO Space International, what we did is we created a 5-time update so they can come in and out by buying a lifetime membership and just come in and out at their pace. But they have to find their own model, their own mechanism for remaining current, because you're busy, you're leading companies. You don't want to stop and just re-audit. And you don't think you should because you think you're the best. But today, teamwork does make the dream work. And on looking at performance upgrading, the boss has to start with their core team, themselves and the people around them that are the cornerstone decision makers. And they have to, as never before, invest in currency. And so on a vision retreat plan, I used to tell CEOs at the Fortune Group that you would do your vision retreats and do those once every 18 to 36 months.
Right.
And today you have to do them every 12 months. You have to have the vision retreat so that you renew the vision of the entire structure of the firm's packaging, delivering, and customer wow factors against the market of super change, keeping you leading and bleeding. And then you need to transmit the new vision plan to all the stakeholders for buy-in, which is a failed step in performance. A lot of the performance breakdown is the vision undertaken by the owner and manager is not transmitted for the correct level of buy-in from all the stakeholders. And getting that transmission line built transforms performance in companies.
Absolutely. I think that's a critical factor that a lot of leaders don't give as much credence to, is that the performance doesn't always come down to just the production of the widgets. It's buying in and having everybody have that ownership in the vision and really owning it, because I've dealt with a lot of, in my coaching practice, a lot of people are looking to get greater accountability from their people, and they're focusing on consequence and different things like that. And I've had such amazing turnarounds by saying, let's focus on getting them in touch with the vision. That's what they need in order to have more accountability.
Yeah. I'm speaking at Harvard coming up at a sidebar group of their deans and leaders and sponsors in one of their entrepreneurial groups and clubs. And I have to tell you, when we are talking the head of IT and the entrepreneur group for Harvard, our discussions are parallel, because we're talking about just what you said. Everybody's, say they're doing a website and they want people to do certain things. They want clicks, they want certain retention, they want to have a way to get back in touch, they want to get progression to an outcome purchase from that web experience, but they're not looking at behavioral sequences. They're not looking, in other words, people make choices to buy through a series of behavioral steps. So what you want is to walk through the behavior of thought processes that the buyer goes through, not you want, and you want to describe on your product. So most of the times you have a geek designer who's made a pretty site, or you've had a geek programmer who's made a functional site, but neither are accommodating the behaviors and choices the buyer is going to go through to make a sale purchase. And so if you model the site so it follows the buyer behavior sequence choice decision making, you get a percentage shift that's astronomical on performance of the buyer actually buying. Now, what it takes to do that, and this comes back to coach or mentor, where you get mentors that make millions, is you want the brains you can't afford to help you. And remember the most powerful words in the English language. Will you mentor me? And you can get the best people in your industry to have lunch. You can get the best people in your industry to give you, that lunch could be worth 5 months of work that went the wrong way. And so mentors really make a difference, where you don't have 3 years of bad experience because you had 3 hours of a great lunch and the actual steps and the phases and stages to get things done. Everything is about sequence. Your plane is made to soar, but it'll crash every time if you work the buttons with the wrong sequence.
Right.
So the most important thing is to resequence your venture so that you model it in the right context for brand experience. And remember, you only exist as a brand. The utility of your product is much less important. The quality of your food, the way the lawnmower mows the lawn, those qualities and features are far less important than the customer experience. And when you figure the emotional equation for your customer to own and possess that you're trying to give them, then you incorporate that into your brand muscle. And your brand muscle is what will drive you long term. And the most important thing is renewing your brand. We work with the branding people who redo Hewlett-Packard, Price Waterhouse, the biggest companies in the world. And their thought processes and what they're looking at when they are doing a brand experience is so different than the average person throwing a logo on a page. It's every touch point that customer's going to breathe from the time they learn first about you to the time they have an after product sale experience. And they design those experiences. And I'll tell you what happens when you get it right. Everybody is switched on and turned on. People come early, leave late. They love what they're doing, and we feel it. We feel it as a client. We want to come back. We feel it because our service support is so superior.
That is really important for people to think about, that emotional equation from the client as well as from the individual employee. I want to shift gears just a little bit in this segment to talk about, a lot of people when they think of productivity, they also think of time management, right? They're like, oh, this sounds really great, Bernie, but I don't have enough time in the day to get all this done, right? And one of the principles of my program and my thinking is that people are focused on the wrong things. I guess like you said, in terms of sequence, even when it comes to this, is they're focused on time. And any time that we focus on something that we can't control, we create stress. And my principle is more that we need to focus on the energy that we bring to something and the energy we bring to that time, as opposed to focusing on the time.
In the market of super change, we have to adopt a new principle of the adventure of lifelong learning. And in the workspace, we get into, this is the way we've always done it. That's the enemy, primarily, of productivity gain. This is the way we've always done it.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely.
what we need is to constantly look for new, smarter ways to enjoy how the customer gets it. And we can do triple the output in an hour and have double the time off. We can have more freedom in the workplace, and we can do so much more. And plus, when you're at a point where you've got some of your work accomplished, you need to help others. You're stakeholders with a team. You're part of a dream team. And if you're not acknowledged and rewarded, and I'm stealing from my own book, but Redemption, the Cooperation Revolution took 10 years to write with the greatest thought leaders of performance in the workspace on the planet. And what happens in Redemption is if you draw a pyramid and you think of fear, punishment, exploitation, who wants to reinvent, stay current, and make a thriving workplace in that model? If you have a circle with hub management and the spokes are all buy-in partners, and your model is reward, recognition, and celebration, who wants to work in that model? Everybody. And who wants to reinvent and constantly upgrade systems and be acknowledged and rewarded for making performance improvements? Everybody's getting a stake in it. Everybody's trying to make it easier, smarter, faster. And everybody's helping each other to do it. And no one is allocated that it's their job. It's all our job. And that gets to be a wonderful workspace. Everybody loves it. And I think one of the biggest things a manager can announce is we're reforming our workspace from competition systems to cooperative systems. Competition systems are always resisting innovation. Cooperative systems are always embracing and accelerating innovation. Cooperative systems' first mark is all human diversity is celebrated. So look at your workspace and say, if you're ethnic, if your education, if your money making, if your third-party attributes, if your dress, if your culture, if all those things are punished by eyebrow movement and 1,000 cues, you're in a competitive workspace and you retard performance and your customers feel it in your brand. If you're in a cooperative workspace, all diversity between human beings is celebrated. Oh, you're Sunni, or you're Shia,
right.
or you're Wahhabi. Tell me about
right.
your dance. Tell me about your sport. Tell me about your song. Tell me about your dress. It's so fascinating and interesting that we're not the same and that we're all different. Isn't it wonderful how you worship God and how I do? And we celebrate it. We don't punish differences.
Right.
Now you start to see, switched on workspace.
Yeah, absolutely. Switched on workspace. And I want to bring that back just for a minute to that concept of energy management. We are managing the energy of the organization, of the individuals, by balancing people's strengths, by, as you said, creating that cooperative environment and creating synergy, right? And synergy is like being in the flow. It's like water. It'll go up, over, around, and
well,
where it
take
go.
the most competitive organizational structuring. So competitive capitalism has absolute ceilings on performance, and it melts down. We don't get
right.
goods and services to the people we want. And so we don't have full partnership. We have lots of poor and
right.
lots of people left out. So we
right.
try to make a better system in the 1700s with communism and socialism. But their competitive bureaucracy, they kill you depending on where you are in the bureaucratic system. Now that
right.
system, you can't even get toilet paper to the rich.
Right.
It's so dysfunctional. So that system fails because it's even more of a compressed competitive modeling for system dynamics with humans. Everybody's in fear. And so how do you get the safe space to be? And we live short lives. We should have thrilling lives. We should love our workspace. And there should be plenty of jobs for everyone, which will never happen with communism and never happen with competitive capitalism. The final revolution is to get a transparent system all across the world that is full partnered for everybody and creates the future called cooperative capitalism. Free enterprise, private ownership, and cooperation system modeling. And it's just coming. I mean, we started in the early 90s with 3M, and they went up the fortune ladder a number of rungs, and they also won the Excellence Award more times than any other single company, and they blame it on the cooperative reform that happened in their culture from now retired Joan Gustafsson. And by the way, when the EU became the EU, they put her up from the cooperative experience to run as the highest position a woman had ever attained in 3M at the time, all of the EU and its reformation. She ran 3M for the now developing EU as a single market and reformed 3M across that market space and retired out. And I'm saying she then wrote, "A woman can do that. And some women are born leaders." And I'm just showing that cooperation takes you up. And you don't care if you're black, white, pink, or green. You don't care if you're a woman or a male. And you just get excited to everyone's talent position and maximizing their opportunity grid to deliver. And everybody just puts out. They have more fun. They come early, leave late, and they're having a ball. And they love their home life and their work life. And it's just to the extent we become cooperative in the workspace versus competitive. How do you think customers feel? You look at the most competitive companies. You walk in and they treat you like dirt and you feel it and you hate it.
Right.
In a cooperative company, they treat you like a queen and king and you just feel magic and you wish it were everywhere.
It's fantastic. I love this concept. So before we go to break, I just want to mention again to the entrepreneurs, this is mostly an entrepreneur group that are listening. You have the opportunity to take your business and take it to a whole new level by implementing this type of a cooperative capitalism in your business.
Yeah, it's the golden keys to think and be rich instead of think and grow rich. When you be rich, so you actually get it.
That's awesome. So go out and get it, Redemption, the Cooperation Revolution. It's time for a short break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk more with Berny Dohrmann about CEO space and how you as entrepreneurs can tap in to another side of this cooperation revolution. So stay tuned. Welcome back to the last segment of this week's Take Charge of Your Productivity. I'm Penny Zenker, and I'm joined today by business strategy expert Berny Dohrmann. We've had a fantastic 2 segments, so for those of you who are just joining us now, you're going to absolutely want to go back and listen all the way through because there's been some great conversation to really bring for some very new concepts, for others, long-awaited concepts of how to really increase your productivity, your production, the growth of your business, and sustainably, and make everybody happy at the same time, both your clients and your employees. So go back and check that out. So welcome back, Bernie. We're going to talk a little bit in this segment about CEO Space.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to be back and share with everybody.
So when you talk about this cooperation, I mean, that's pretty much the foundation that CEO Space was created on. Is that right?
If you click ceospace.net or ceospaceinternational.com, you'll see our main website. There's lots of videos for every industry there. They're short. But we tell you about our part of the cooperation revolution. Basically, we studied for 50 years cooperation in the workspace and the performance magnets that make the performance rise. And we really have fallen on a belief that every problem between a man and a woman in a relationship and your life partner and your lifestyle is based on cooperation versus competition. We see the sweetest relationships and the self-renewing relationships that are really switched on, turned on. People say, how do I get that magic that you guys have in your home life? But they're cooperative versus competitive, and they figured it out through no help of any outside source. And then you get cooperative parents, and they do such a different job, and the children have such a different journey than fear, punishment, exploitation. I've actually seen competitive parents where they're saying to their children, screaming and yelling at them, I'm not your friend. Don't make a mistake of thinking I'm your friend. Now do this and do that. These children grow up damaged, and they can't have their full potential realized, and they've had bad modeling because, frankly, the parents had bad modeling and didn't know another model to copy. Now, in the workspace, it translates. You start taking your abusive, dysfunctional, bad home life into the workspace. Right. You tend to want to dominate and get self-gratification there. And everybody can reform to have just the greatest adventures. Our life is short. When we come together for enjoying each other with output and achievement, let's put our achievement out. We're just having a switched-on experience. We enjoy each other. We don't let each other down. We have self-correction along the way. We're not going to be perfect all the time, but we're really rising our performance output all the time, and our customers receive our brand with a joy that is double underlined. And so how do you double underline the joy in your brand? And you can't have joy in Mudville if you don't have joy in your home space. So you've got to be able to be operating your business with systems that create inclusion and full partnership and are buoyant to the employee group as opposed to push down pyramidal architectures of management systems. So CEO Space is a place that the owners of business, including all professions, because we give ongoing education credits in all 50 states. We don't do it outside the country, though we serve 100 countries, but in the country, 5 times a year, out in Vegas, we have teen programs and adult programs in which we put you through a unique trade show. We don't believe in seminars, workshops, and lectures. We believe you learn to fly by flying. You learn to operate into a brain by operating. In other words, having a great person help you to do the procedure. If you go to a seminar, say you graduate from Tony Robbins' greatest seminar in the world on frontal lobe surgery, no one will give you the ability to go into their head after you graduate the 10-day seminar. So what we do is we guarantee we're going to get you new customers. If we don't accelerate your business and make it an acceleration that you can measure, we'll refund your membership in our program before you leave the building. We also give you a lifetime membership. When you pay once, you can come to 5 of our trade shows to get more customers faster and to remain current anytime you want for the rest of your life. So we have people coming to our trade show this year in 2014 who graduated in 1990, 1991, 1988. And they're not paying. They're coming back free. Now, to do that, say, where else can you do it? Nowhere else. There is no program that uses meals to build relationship in today's networking world so that you build relationship and you exchange big oversized appointment cards that we give you, and they're called See Me cards. And you get these appointments. So in the evenings, you're having customer after customer after customer sign up and buy your products and services. You get alliance partners, you get national companies, you get global companies. And this program serves clients that are in 64,000 retail stores in 100 countries. So when you want to get anywhere, we're already there. When you want to get to the 10,000 Fortune companies, one of our faculty members coaches them. And then what we've done is taken coaches that are millionaires that they make fortunes in their consulting business to the biggest companies in the world. They're retired Booz Allen, Accenture, senior partners at the biggest law firms, and they're donating their time. They're taking one-on-one private appointments. They may meet you for 3 hours to say, how do we develop a sponsor plan, get a much bigger sponsor program, syndicate you into 200 cities, manufacture you so you bump to television after that audience base is reached and achieved, and do it in 18 months instead of 36.
Right.
So you meet with those people who have done it, know how to do it, and put it together for you. Very specific to your business and industry. And so,
and I think what's amazing about that, Bernie, if I might just jump in here, that whole concept of mentoring, right, is having people who have done it at such a big scale that for some of the small businesses, they don't necessarily vision themselves like that because they're like, wow, that's just the next level. And by having people that you can actually talk this through that see your vision at the next level is an amazing breakthrough to getting to that level.
Well, they do the stairs. When you get the best in any industry, the entertainment, nanotechnology, aerospace, franchising, products, services, these folks have done it all for 40 years. They're giving back. They're tithing. They sign a contract to give 15% of their adult lifetime back. No selling, no marketing. Yeah, and they meet you at meals, and they meet you privately, and they become your buddies. But they give you the stages and phases of growth. So you get the end point you want to reach, but you don't just go to it. You go to it in stages and phases that are comfortable for you.
So I don't know that people appreciate what opportunity they have in front of them right now. So again, all of those names, those brands, those are all companies and products that have been able to soar as they have because of their involvement in CEO space. So if you're an entrepreneur and you've got a great idea, a great business, a great product, you're just looking to take your business to the next level, what you're going to learn, the people that you're going to interact with in an organization like CEO space is unparalleled to anything that's out there.
They can go to free meetings in their city. You can look up CEO Space, Orange County, LA, Pasadena, Woodland Hills, San Diego, or Baltimore, where I'll be tomorrow, or Denver, and just look up on your meetups, look up on CEO Space for the local communities around you. Every week we have free, no selling, networking. Go and network, get to know people, get new customers, and eventually you want to become a member. But come in and get value and get new clients and network, and you'll find the best if you say, what is cooperative networking like? You come into one of our meetings in Denver or any city in America or any city outside the country, and we're from Nova Scotia to Vancouver, and you walk into the meeting and you say, please, Lord, let me help another entrepreneur. You're not trying to get your own contacts. You're not trying to get something. You're trying to help someone else that's in business. But everyone else is now trying to help you. And so they all will help you. You don't have to go get it. It comes to you. Once you do cooperative networking, you can't stand the other networking groups. You just want to do cooperative networking. And there are other groups doing it. I mean, BNI, and I speak on stage with Ivan quite a bit, and we started our companies at the same time. And he's doing cooperative networking. He stands for it. And so that's another feeling. People love BNI for that. But they will let one chiropractor in that chapter. We'll let 50 chiropractors into one chapter.
Right.
So it's a little different.
A little bit of a different model. Just before we end today's show, I want to make sure that they understand you have this concept called super teaching. Maybe you could just explain a little bit about that.
Super teaching is a 40-year research project that's patented by the United States Patent Office just last year and worldwide, even in China. And it's a 3-screen system that we've proven creates an elevated retention for students learning anything, whether it's a corporate space, a government training room, or public schools. It's Title I approved by Congress for inclusion in public schools, and we've had it in test beds for years in K through 12 in Michigan, the University of Alabama, junior college at Salt Lake Community College during the Olympics. We've done a lot of, in public school work, and you simply get better grades or better retention of what you're learning all the time. And we showcase it at our CEO Space event. our teen classes and our adult classes use super teaching, which makes it easier to learn a lot of important information and retain it without the struggle and work that often goes into where you're kind of falling asleep at the workshop.
That's fantastic. So just to recap here, that this organization is really committed to mentoring, educating, and networking, and all the principles through cooperation that help you as an entrepreneur to build and grow your business. So let's just give them that website again before we sign off, so they've got a place to go to check out.
Go to ceospace.net, and you'll see our latest website we just released in 2014, ceospace, one word, .net, and you'll see videos that are just 3 minutes long. They'll change your income and change the freedom by which you make it.
That's great. And for anybody who does decide to sign up as a result of this program for CEO Space, I'm going to throw in a free assessment of my Take Charge of Your Productivity assessment that goes over the 10 essential elements of time and energy management, because I really want to support those people that are making that decision to take their business to a next level and give them an additional tool that's going to help them sort of map
let me match you, because our lifetime membership fee has not changed since 1988, and includes your hotel room and all your meals. There are no add-ons. Everything's included. And I'll throw in a copy of Redemption, which the President of the United States wrote me a handwritten thank you letter on, to your book if they come and say, Penny, send us by.
That is so generous of you. Thank you so much. And if you guys don't jump on this, you're crazy. So anyway, Bernie, thank you so much for your time today. It was a great show. I think our listeners are going to be tapping away right now on their computers to get more information about CEO.
Well, as I say goodbye, this is the first year to thrive in 5. Don't miss the recovery. Get your arms around the latest currency to remain current and maximize your own recovery in 2014. I know you will.
Thank you, Bernie. Thank you so much. So in summary, winning strategies for your business is knowing where to focus your energy to create value and leverage so that you can effectively grow your business. We've talked today about 3 things that create that leverage. Number 1, we talked about mentoring, taking guidance and perspectives from those who have been there and done that can help you with the various stages to get your business to the next level. Networking, right? That can help you excel your business by bringing about greater cooperation and collaboration. And eventually, it might even be with competitors, because you can create tremendous leverage and value for all parties by utilizing each other's strengths. And lastly, around education, knowing the key strategies in areas such as accounting and marketing, but also being able to stay current, to stay the most current, and understand which technologies are going to support you, which structures, what do you need to know in order to stay ahead of the curve. So CEO Space brings all of these 3 elements together in one organization. Bernie's made a great offer for you today. When you go to the website and you sign up, he's going to send you, as a result of being on this radio show and having heard it, he's going to send you a copy of his awesome new book that we talked about throughout the program that's called Redemption, the Cooperation Revolution. And also, I've thrown in, you're also going to get a free assessment on the 10 elements of time and energy management that are going to enable you to identify where you are today in those 10 elements, and also give you a tracking tool that's going to enable you to create an action plan and track yourself on a weekly, daily, monthly basis, whatever time frame you want, so that you can create progress in your time and energy management. So this is a great opportunity. Thank you so much for being here on this show. I know that you've enjoyed it and taken a huge value away. If you like what you heard here, send us a message on Facebook, on Twitter, or send us an email. Facebook, you can reach us at www.facebook.com, PennyZPerspective, and on Twitter, www.twitter.com/PennyZanker. So join us next week as we continue to provide you with amazing experts in each of the 10 core elements that will dramatically increase your productivity and create what I call quantum productivity. So until next week, this is Penny Zanker reminding you to take charge of your time and energy. It's a choice you can feel good about.
Thank you for listening. Today's topic is another opportunity for you to put the knowledge you learned into practice. Tune in again next week for more strategies that will help you have more energy and focus to get more done in less time, so you can continue to take back time.